Hi guys, welcome to the Liberty Bunker. We made the initial virus contagion preparation video only about 2.5 weeks ago, and it's quite amazing how fast the situation has developed only in the last 2.5 weeks. The virus is now here established in the UK, it's spreading person to person, and it's spreading with increasing pace. The UK government policy is now that most people should accept they probably will get coronavirus, and we're going to let this spread through the population in a controlled manner. It almost certainly will cost lives. I expect the NHS will be extremely overloaded. The NHS is basically overloaded as it stands at the moment, even with the relatively few cases we currently see. Things are probably going to get somewhat more panicked through UK society as the next 2 weeks unfold. From where we stood 2.5 weeks ago to where we will stand in 2.5 weeks, I think it will be a very, very different UK. But long term, like everything, it will blow over. Now, everybody should now be expecting they're going to get this virus, and it's more about mitigating the symptoms and your circumstances to make it easier for you. Most of the videos I make about 6 a.m. in the morning. So even from a personal point of view, I may say to myself, well, I'm relatively healthy. I'm certainly not in a high risk category to be affected by this virus in any way. But even if I can just mitigate, reducing the illness period, if I do show symptoms, a lot of people are asymptomatic anyway. But if I were to show symptoms, I want to probably minimize that as much as possible. If for nothing else, because I won't be able to make as many YouTube videos. If you're young and you're relatively healthy and you're watching this, you should make some basic precautions just to minimize the impact it has on your life. It's just as simple as that, really. And obviously, the older, more high risk you are, it could become potentially more fatal. Now, some people have said, it goes on social media, some people put even in the comments on the other video we made, there's no need to be scared by this. This isn't about being scared. It's prepared, not scared. If you open the boot of my car, lift the carpet up, there's a spare wheel, there's a jack, there's a wrench. I don't drive around in constant fear of getting a puncture, but I am prepared if one of my wheels gets punctured. Within 5 minutes, just jack the car up, whip the old wheel off, put the new wheel on, lower it down. Within 5 minutes, I'm gone. So this is just to show that it's not about being scared about anything. It's just about being prepared. I don't live in constant fear of getting a puncture. I don't live in constant fear about this virus. It's just preparation, prepared, not scared. Now, that being said, if you're in a high-risk category, you probably want to lower your risk. So if you're in something like a high-risk category, like you're a smoker, you have diabetes, you have hypertension, high blood pressure, you're elderly, you have a compromised immune system from, other reasons, maybe you suffer with cancer, things like that, and you want to try and mitigate those risks. So if you're a smoker, first thing you can do is stop smoking. I'm not saying people have to do this. It's a free country, do whatever the hell you want. But if you want to minimize your risk, stop smoking. If you're diabetic, try and get your diabetes under control as much as it can do. This virus, just because it's spreading through the population quite quickly, doesn't mean it's going to go away anytime soon. It's 6 months down the road. As we go into next winter, those who haven't had the virus yet will probably start seeing spikes in numbers again as we go into the the traditional flu season. Hypertension again. Start trying to eat healthy as you can. Look into how to reverse or reduce hypertension through good diet. If you're elderly, again, just do what you can to prepare yourself. So things you can be doing, vitamin C is the big one. Everybody talks about that. I'm not a big fan of supplements necessarily. So if you can try and get vitamin C through citrus fruits and just through diet, that's the best way going. Vitamin D is a big one. Vitamin D you get through sunlight, amongst other things, but it's mostly through sunlight. We don't have much sunlight here in the UK. We're still in winter. We're going into spring. Vitamin D is a big one. I think many people are deficient in vitamin D. So the best, if you're going to supplement with a pill, probably vitamin D3. I think the research indicates is the best form of vitamin D. So if you find a packet, just look, if it's vitamin D3, that's probably going to be quite a high quality source of vitamin D. Some of them come as not just vitamin D on their own. I think they're linked with calcium, because I think those two, do your own research, consult your own doctor. But I think vitamin D and calcium kind of bounce off each other. If you're deficient in one, you're probably deficient in the other. I believe that's how it works. Things like throat sprays, things like lozenges. If you do have mild symptoms, and certainly not at a point you want to go to hospital. We'll be getting to the point soon when going to hospital is probably the worst thing you can do, unless you physically can't breathe. Even then, they may triage you as do not resuscitate. That is unfortunately the situation in Italy. So 100% don't rely on the NHS. This is why we're making provisions now, so we can reduce the load on the NHS, and worst case scenario, you don't get to ITU, you're triaged as DNR, because that's not good. But yeah, throat sprays, lozenges, they can reduce, some evidence they will reduce the spread of a virus in like the kind of airway passage. Paracetamol is pretty much standard for, alleviating mild symptoms of a flu. Crushed garlic, there's quite a lot of evidence, fairly robust documented evidence that crushed garlic, especially if it's been left out, there's something to do with the enzyme or the active chemical within garlic. If you crush it and you leave it in, like, just out in air for I think a few hours, it kind of like the active enzyme or chemical compound, it kind of gets going. It needs this like little airtime, some sort of reaction takes place. I'm not a biologist, but that certainly seems to work. So between those, vitamin C, vitamin D, a few supplements, try and get sunlight if you can. Throat lozenges, paracetamol, crushed garlic. Now, it's obviously basics everybody's talked about. You're probably sick of death hearing it, but wash your hands. Everybody should be doing this at this point. Again, eating healthy, even if you're not one of the high risk categories like diabetic, hypertension, eating healthy will improve your immune system. We all pretty much are guilty of eating quite poorly in the West, so if you can just get to your 5 a day, increase your fiber intake, it's probably going to help with things like blood pressure anyway, even if you don't suffer with hypertension. Exercise, again, another big one. If you're exercising regularly, it's going to boost your immune system. And a lot of this is about, ideally, for the ideal healthy person, you want the virus to come into your system but not really touch you. You need to be aware you could be an asymptomatic carrier. So even if the virus is in your system, you don't really want to sort of spread it to other people. But the ideal scenario is many people in the UK, the virus will go into their system, you build immunity to it, you may be asymptomatic, you may not even show any signs of a flu-like virus. But doing things like exercise just gives you the best chance. And the other thing through exercise is mental toughness. It's about, getting out there, putting your running shoes on, getting on your bicycle, whatever you do. It's just about mental toughness, because this is going to be a long battle now. I see so many people on like social media saying, they're not worrying about it, they're not doing it, they're not going to prepare anything. That's fine. But I think often these kind of people are actually like mentally weak, and these will be the first people that will ironically struggle if times get bad. People that watched my videos for a while, we've been pricing in like some kind of economic, not necessarily collapse, but economic problems. We're by far overdue a recession. You can't just print hundreds of billions of pounds and not expect consequences. So for long term, we've kind of been like looking 5, 10, maybe 15 years down the road, we probably should be prepared for quite a big problems in the global economy, and this virus is kind of just shortening the time frame before we start seeing maybe bigger problems down the road. Drink loads of water. That's a standard. Most people in the West go around a lot of time not drinking, dehydrated. 2 liters of water a day, that's going to boost your immune system to make you feel healthier. And get sleep. That's a really big one. So many people don't get enough sleep. I certainly notice it. As I say, I wake up quite early usually. Well, today's Saturday, so this isn't an early video. I'm doing this about like 10 a.m. But midweek, I kind of shoot the videos 6 a.m. If I haven't had a good night's sleep, I definitely notice, I struggle to think more, and the videos are just much harder to do. Getting sleep will boost your immune system. It will make you a lot more fighting fit. Key points to take away is just to adopt a survival mentality. So many people in the West, in the UK, Europe, maybe not so much in America because they still have a survival mentality, but everybody's just, the government will fix this. The NHS will fix this. As I said before, there's a very real chance, if you are, a smoker, if you're elderly, if you have comorbidity, so you have another underlying factor when you go into hospital, the NHS will probably just triage you as like, do not resuscitate. They'll do what they can, maybe try and give you oxygen, maybe try and give you basic things that doesn't take too many NHS staff to help you with. But if you cardiac arrest, if you stop breathing, unfortunately, you're not in a priority to be helped. It's hard. It's hard to say that, but we know that the NHS is constantly like struggling. It kind of crunches on day by day. But this is going to be a big problem for the NHS. And really, if you don't need to go to hospital, I'd really advise against it, unless you're getting to the point where you physically cannot breathe and you need someone to, medical help to help you. Even then, in that scenario, you may just drown in the fluid of your own lungs. Unfortunately, that is the reality of this situation. So just adopt a survival mentality that you're going to do everything in your power that you do not need to rely on other people, the government, the NHS. Try not to rely on your wider community. Try and be the person that's helping other vulnerable people in your community. Don't be a dead weight, essentially, is what I'm saying. Continue to add to your food supplies. Everybody would have watched the video a few weeks. If you did watch that video and took the advice that I was saying at the time, you wouldn't have had any of the problems in the supermarket, because the shortage in the supermarket came about a week after that video was made. It was obvious it was going to happen. The UK, people panic buy anyway. The slightest bit of snow, anything, any kind of trigger, people just panic buy. But hopefully you got your supplies in, and if you haven't got your supplies in, just continue to build your food supplies up. Everybody needs about a 2-week minimum. This isn't some kind of conspiracy. This isn't some kind of prepper madness. That's what the UK government are even saying. 2 weeks per person in your house minimum. Because if you need to self-isolate today, you can't go to Tesco, because that makes a mockery of the self-isolation. So you need a 2 weeks minimum. I would suggest probably more than that per person. We said in the video with the other stuff, rice, pasta, things you like. Other ones I've been thinking of, and I'm even adding to my own things, is peanut butter, because I really like peanut butter. And again, it's got a long-term shelf life. It's very high in calories, so that's a good thing. It doesn't take up too much space, and it's very high in calories. Other things are like, canned rice pudding, lentils, things you essentially like. Don't stock up on things you don't like. That would be insanity. If you don't like tuna, don't buy like 100 tins of tuna. It wouldn't make no sense. When I eat Indian food, I actually really like the vegetarian dishes, things like, potato curry and spinach curry, things like that. So if I've got like lentils, potatoes, Indian spice in the house, it makes sense, because that's something that I actually enjoy eating anyway. And it's going to get used, whether we need to use it, over the duration of the next 6 months while this crisis is unfolding, or it's just something you can whittle away over the next 12 months or whatever, just to burn it down if it turns out you have too much stock. I mean, I think everybody should be prudent and have some sort of buffer. I think this crisis has shown, hopefully after this, I think more people are a little bit more prepared. Another one that I thought of since making the last video is a very sensible one anyway. It's just, if you have a car, keep it filled pretty much to the top with fuel. I mean, you don't need to fill up every day. If you use 5 litres, doesn't mean you have to fill it right back up to the top, but kind of keep it between half and maximum full. My car has a fairly large fuel tank. It's diesel. I think tank's probably 70, 80 litre tank with diesel. If I fill that thing up to the top, how much range does that give me? 45 to the gallon, 10 miles to the litre, 70 litres. You're talking 700 miles before it needs filling up. So this is probably unlikely. We said this many times in the video. Some things we're, preparing for. I'm not a prepper, but, use the word preparing for, preparation. Some of it's like stuff that's obviously going to happen. Like, it was obvious the supermarkets would start struggling to keep the shelves stocked. That was an obvious thing. And some things like civil disorder are at the higher end of things we should probably with the civil disorder, I think the rate at which things are changing, I don't think civil disorder is necessarily out of the question. Some sort of rioting, some sort of looting, we've definitely seen that before. Happened after Hurricane Katrina in America, when there's a vacuum of power, police aren't around and people feel disgruntled, you will get looting. So I definitely wouldn't price it out of the picture, but that's definitely more at the scale, the crisis being like, that's quite a bad form of the crisis. Things like supermarket running out, obviously is going to happen. Civil disorder, maybe. We'll see if that happens. But if you've got, a range of 700 to 800 miles in your car, you're probably going to be highly unlikely that you need to bug out and you just need to leave. But it gives you the option, and it doesn't cost you anything, because if you have a car anyway, your car uses fuel anyway. Just have it filled up. It just gives you potentially another. Say you got a distant relative, they're in crisis, they need help, and you go to the pumps, and because the country's in lockdown, your city's in lockdown, you're not getting fuel deliveries. You can't go and then help that person. So it just makes sense. It doesn't cost you anything. Keep your car filled up with fuel, especially if it's got a big tank, and especially if it's fairly economical. From where I am now in southeast England, I could drive to Scotland if needs be, if it's got a fuel tank, if it's got a full tank of fuel. If it doesn't, then you're relying on other people to get fuel. So that's pretty much the main points. Let me know in the comments if there's many more things you think of. The real one to take away is, if you're young and you're healthy, you're not really that worried. It's more about you being a transmitter to vulnerable people, i.e. elderly, people with diabetes, people who are obese, people that may have recently had cancer or still have cancer undergoing treatment. Their immune system will highly likely to be compromised. So this is like a community thing now. We should all be pulling together to work together, because the NHS will be swamped, and I think some people are going to be quite shocked by the end of March, probably before that. Will be 14th today, in probably the next 10 days, 14 days, people are going to be quite shocked, and they're going to think, how did this ever happen? But again, it's just that preparedness. Be mentally prepared for it. Try not to be a burden on society. Try and be the person that's helping other people in society. Don't be a sandbag. You want to be the person at the front, helping, leading, because you've got the knowledge. You're obviously an intelligent person. If you're watching YouTube videos and you're not watching Love Island or whatever crap other people, the normies, are watching. Again, the ultimate one that could unfold out of this, I think the UK may possibly get away with this by this high-risk Boris Johnson strategy that he's employed, which is the herd immunity tactic, which will kill people in the short term but potentially may save people in the long term. Is countries like Italy, the Eurozone especially, it will be under a lot of pressure, and a recession's basically priced in anyway. But if we see like a bond collapse, I don't know what the ECB, what the EU's plan is to not have Italy go bankrupt to this point, not be ejected from the Eurozone monetary union, but potentially a bond collapse is something. We'll be doing a lot of videos on this. I've already done a few up till now, but the economic consequences of this are severe. So if anything, this is the rehearsal for the real crisis, which may be coming very, very soon. Initially, I thought it was 10 to 15 years away, but this has really accelerated the impact of that. You can't just shut a country like Italy down, which is basically very, very close to bankruptcy anyway, or default, if you want to use the proper word. You can't just shut a country like that down with the huge economic impact, the negative GDP growth that has, and not look at the consequences of what if they default. Probably means every country in the Eurozone will default, because the bonds will collapse one after the other. Once the confidence is lost in Italy, the confidence will lost in pretty much every Eurozone country, possibly Germany will get away with it. But that's my thoughts and feelings on this one. Let me know in the comments if there's other things you think you're doing to actively prepare, things you're thinking of, and maybe we'll do like a preparation 3.0 video. This is obviously 2.0. Maybe we'll do another one in a week or two's time, just to touch base where things are. It's probably going to be the time that the NHS will be very swamped. Just be mentally prepared for it. Do what you can. Try and, even if you're young, you want to mitigate the symptoms. So maybe look at the vitamin tablets, things like that. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Good luck, Godspeed, and I'll see you in the next video.